Hello, my name's Amy Johnston, and this is Module 5 for AEP 800 Barriers to Web 2.0. To start this assignment, I read and am including a summary of 5 different articles. The first one are some barriers that we have for using Web 2.0, and pretty much the summary is that time, support, and training are things that need to be individualized. So as a future administrator, I want to make sure that when we are using technology, we have a good foundation and vision for how it's going to be used so we aren't just wasting money. The next article was 7 common barriers that obstruct tech adoption and education. So this article focused on how we need to make sure that we are integrating the technology, and my role in that would be to make sure that my staff has a vision and a plan that we're actually following instead of just throwing things at it. This article did talk a lot about that there's things that we currently have but we're not using as effective. The next article is how to overcome the areas without broadband. And coming from rural Kansas, I understand this challenge. Many of my friends' families actually don't have broadband access, so it makes the homework and the access at home very challenging. So, in my future administrative role, I think that I need to be first aware of that and then active in how that can be solved or overcome. The next article is how to use open ed resources. And this is really interesting to me because I know that curriculum is a huge absorber of a lot of the finances in districts. So as we're wanting to move more toward devices and supporting the integration of technology and teacher salaries, we need to kind of get a handle on that. The one thing that makes me a little anxious is knowing how strong these resources are. So I would want to be aware of that as a future educator. But I really do love the idea of teachers being able to use their indicators and follow that as their curriculum rather than an actual textbook. So I would be able to lead that understanding with my staff. The next article or video actually talked about one-to-one devices and how it actually, the author feels it's more important in the elementary school because the students are with the teacher most of their day, and they feel that it would be used more appropriately than going from person to person. As a future administrator, I think my job would be to make decisions on where to put the new technology so that we make sure we're getting its full potential. The first question that was posed is, do I feel the digital divide can be resolved? Why or why not? And I kind of see it as a bridge. I do think that it can be resolved, that we need a clear plan and vision, but I very much want to think outside the box and not limit ourselves. Some skills that I think that students need to acquire for 21st century. I'm a firm believer in the soft skills, and I think those need to start in kindergarten. So as a building administrator, I want to make sure that kids have interpersonal skills, that they're problem solvers, that they are hard workers, and they work together with each other. As far as impact on the global economy with my personal use of the internet, my family is in rural Kansas, and it has been a challenge for us to have internet access. It's very costly. So I do feel that we have it, but as a future administrator, I recognize that not all of my families will be able to afford that. So it'll be my job to make sure that their personal use is not inhibited. What training do I feel that I still need So, in my future role as a building administrator, some things that I'm going to need to understand include the district's vision, what kind of access the families in the community have, and what resources are available as far as budget knowledge, what I can put towards technology. My current role is an instructional coach, and for that role, this is my first year in a new district in that role. And I think for current position, I need to have a better understanding of my district's vision for technology. My school is pretty equipped with 21st century technology. We have projectors, we have one-to-one Chromebooks, we have robotic materials and devices for our K through 5 classrooms. We have many digital subscriptions for student and staff. So I feel like we're equipped. The drawback I feel like is we don't have the training and the support to be using these to their fullest potential. So I want to make sure as a future building leader that even just as soon as the interview process, I understand what's available and what the expectations are so that can begin to create a vision and a plan so that we're using things effectively. So, advantages of innovative practices. I am in classrooms daily, and when I see technology being used innovatively, I see students that have high engagement. I see deeper learning happening, and they're making connections to things that they might not have made before. So, as a future building administrator, I want the best for my students, and I believe that innovative practices will be able to reach their best potential. Some disadvantages. Um, Students today are needing constant entertainment, and while we want to align to their interests, we also need to balance that with sometimes there's things you need to do that just aren't fun, like paying bills or learning about how to fix a dishwasher or something like that. So, balancing that innovative technology with also practical skills, which is where I feel that soft skill connection comes in. We are it's a disadvantage because it's really hard to find time to constantly grow staff. So, whereas I see that as more of an obstacle than a disadvantage, I do think it makes it difficult as we bring new technology in. And then, being in a disadvantaged school district this year, I recognize that the technology access for students in this disadvantaged school because of grants and special funding, they actually have a lot more access to technology than my previous district. So I also see technology as kind of creating a divide for kids depending on where you're from. And that might not necessarily be that students from socioeconomic school districts that are lower might not necessarily mean that they have less devices. It might actually mean that they are have more options. Cyberbullying and inappropriate internet use. So I currently, in my current position this year, we've had just a couple times of inappropriate searches, and our filter system has caught that and reported it to the appropriate people, and we've dealt with it appropriately based off of our matrix of how we handle such things. I have not had any experience with cyberbullying. Unfortunately, I feel it's just a matter of time, but currently I have not dealt with that. So I appreciate your time and I look forward to listening to other presentations. Thank you so much.